huge victory for the citizens of Bengaluru and a major setback for the Congress-ruled Karnataka government. Finally, the Karnataka government has decided to scrap the controversial steel flyover project.
You time and again told this steel bridge is sanctioned because of corruption is involved. The ministry has taken the thing, everything you have talked. And there's no other way to prove our the thing. That's why you have cancelled that thing.
People said, look, this is not right. The whole beauty of that area will be lost, and this is not required, or it is costly. So many other things were, raised in the public domain. So we have definitely considered the public opinion.
People's victory, and people, if they mind, they can do whatever they want. This is the democracy that has, particularly in Bangalore citizens, they have come out openly about this against the steel bridge. That's why they have stopped the steel bridge project.
Coming of elections over the next 8-10 months clearly has woken the government up to the reality that people were really angry. It is only with the steel flyover that citizens have now decided to become activists, more active. With citizens and media coming together, I think it is now becoming clear to the political leaders of the city that the same old business as usual will not be able to continue, and people will fight back against it.
Well, it is in fact a citizens' victory in Bangalore. And I must point out how the citizens of Bangalore banded together with a single view. They constantly put forward their views to their government. They protested in very, very large numbers. They came out into the streets on Sunday afternoons in the heat and made their voices heard. Those voices have now been heard right up to the Karnataka Chief Minister, who now has decided to scrap this flyover. And we also heard, of course, from voices within the Karnataka government who told us that the flyover was always a good idea. It has been scrapped because of the din and the noise created by the national media. And like we have always done on this channel, we stand with the citizens of Bangalore on their demand to scrap the flyover. What we're asking for today, right now on this show, is what happens next. The flyover has been scrapped. What are the alternatives? What is the government going to consider right now? Because the traffic of Bangalore still remains the problem it was before this flyover was suggested. Joining me on the show this evening, Priya Chetty, CXO Search. She's a consultant. Sridhar Pabbishetty, founder of Nama Bengaluru Foundation. Brijesh Kalapppa, national spokesperson of the Congress party, representing the government of Karnataka, who's been kind enough to join us. Tanveer Ahmed, spokesperson of the JDS, one of the few politicians who from the beginning was vocally against the steel flyover, joins us right now. Sudhir Badami is a traffic and a people movement expert who joins us on the show. Prakash S is the BJP spokesperson, joining us from Bangalore. So I want to start with Brijesh Kalapppa. Brijesh, thank you for joining us on the show. You have, of course, the government of Karnataka has heard the voices of its people. What message do you have to give right now to this collection of, members of our panel who've always been vocal about their protest against the flyover? Now that the flyover has been scrapped, what does the government want to communicate to its people?
No, there are two things which the government has already stated. One has been stated by the PCC president, and that is that there were certain people who were against the steel bridge, and we have heard their voices and responded. One. Two is the Minister for Bangalore Development, who said that, look, there were allegations made, including an allegation which the BJP fabricated, where they said that we had been paid 65 crore. And this was, of course, because the BJP itself, as you know, there was a conversation between Anand Kumar and Yediyurappa just about 15 days ago. And in that conversation, they were saying that, look, let's keep throwing stones at them, let's make unfounded, baseless charges, and let them keep responding. So this was the gist of their conversation. Now, in light of that, what they did is they fabricated a diary which meant to say that an MLC who had apparently been raided, subsequently he said that no, there was no raid, one. 2 that the diary was not found in his residence, and the address was the handwriting was not his, and everything. Now the income tax department, which is supposed to have collected the diary, is directly working under the central government. It's been nearly 1 year since that diary apparently has been found by the income tax department. They have not said a word regarding its authenticity. Now it's only the BJP who's consistently been speaking about this. So they've been trying to muddy the waters, right? So as I've always been pointing out, it was a BJP project. The BJP began the project when they were in office. So after having begun the project, today they have decided that, look, let's not have anything which moves positively for the city of Bangalore. So they have decided to stall the project. Today they want to project the Congress as being, a party which is one corrupt, because they were themselves corrupt.
Brijesh,
like I told
let
you,
me
half
point
the
out, if you'll
cabinet
allow
was
me
in
to
jail,
interrupt you for
half
a
the
second.
MLAs were in jail. They were either involved in corruption.
Brijesh, I will take your point that you're making about the BJP to the BJP spokesperson, but I just want to point out one thing. We have on this channel covered the protests of the steel flyover very, very closely, as you know, because you've been part of several discussions. And a lot of people who've protested were neither members of the BJP nor the Congress. A lot of them were just independent citizens. So then how do you justify those protests? Because those were not driven by the BJP. They were regular citizens who came out of their homes and said, we don't want to lose these trees. So on some level, we should also acknowledge the fact that it was not all political.
No, I'm not saying. I've already given credit to them. Those people who were genuinely, protesting with, maybe they had their own views. I have nothing to say to them. They have genuinely been, they are genuine citizens. We are not going to speak about them. See, the point is that, like I've told you, the PCC president has already given them the credit for this scrapping of the steel flyover. So that is besides the point. I've already given the credit to them. I'm speaking about the other issue, that is the BJP's involvement in the steel flyover. How they have been able to muddy the waters. How they have been consistently trying to show the Congress party government as a government which is involved in corruption. One, Congress party government in Karnataka, there is not a single scandal against it. While the BJP, like I told you, half the cabinet was in jail. Now they want to project us in the same picture. So for this reason, they want to do two things. One is to say that we are corrupt by having taken X amount of money. And two, they want to say that we don't have a proper plan of action for Bangalore. Now the point is, they have been in power for 9 years in BBMP. They have destroyed the city beyond recognition.
All right, so that point is taken, Brijesh.
We have just come to power in the BBMP, and after having achieved power in the BBMP last year, we are taking ameliorative measures now.
Okay, all right. So that point is taken, and I want to point out to our audience across the country that the state of Karnataka is going to go into elections in about a year's time, and we're going to see a lot of this sort of conversation that will happen between now and those elections. But I want to focus this conversation on the problem in the city of Bangalore that the steel flyover was meant to solve. Now, the steel flyover is not happening anymore, which means that the government and all of the citizens who actively took part in the protest need to now find a new solution. What is the new solution that the city of Bangalore is going to come up with for its problems of traffic? And let's acknowledge the fact that problems of traffic in Bangalore are plenty. But before we do that, I want to very quickly bring in the BJP spokesperson in this case, which is Prakash S. There were a lot of things that were said, Prakash. Very quickly, I'm going to give you an opportunity to respond to them, because you should get an opportunity to respond before I go to the rest of the panel and we talk about solutions for the city of Bangalore and we open up the phone lines for our audience. S. Prakash.
Madam, as you rightly said, the movement was citizen-driven movement. It was not the BJP which started the movement. We only lent our support for the citizens' voice. As a responsible political party, it is our duty to reflect the citizens' voice to the government. Moreover, after the diary exposure, wherein a 65 crore amount was paid to steel bridge was mentioned in it, the Siddaramaiah government was not dare enough to go ahead with this project because it was inviting a lot of controversies. This project right from the beginning was made in controversy without seeking the opinion of the public. When the public are against the project, the government was bent upon going ahead with the project. which failed miserably. Today, government has bowed to the citizens' voice, which we have welcomed it also. And making frivolous charges against the BJP government, which BJP started this project earlier, is all fabricated and there's no basis for it. We have already clarified umpty number of times that it was only the BBMP commissioner who had sought the project report for this steel bridge. It was not the government or the ministers wanted this project. They did not even approve when it came before the cabinet. So BJP had no role in initiating this project. This has been made very clear from the day one. But the exposure of dairy was the last nail on this project, and the government did not have courage to go ahead with this project, as it would have acted, it would have made them more embarrassing in the coming days. Instead of accepting their failure, and when we are welcoming their decision, making counter accusation is not fair. That's all I want to say.
Let me open up the panel now to the rest of the people who are here. I am also putting a phone number at the bottom of your screen, so if you're watching at home, you can now pick up the phone and call us. And I'm making it very clear what this conversation is about. What are the solutions going forward? How do we find solutions now proactively in the citizen of Bangalore? Brijesh Kalapppa, waving your finger at the camera. Go ahead. You want to say something? Brijesh Kalapppa seems to have left that conversation. All right. But I want to point out here now that if Brijesh Kalapppa has left the conversation, then we'll have to then come up with solutions and send them to the government, because the government is not going to be part of this conversation. I want to apologize to our audience for no representation of the government here, but Brijesh has left the conversation. Tanveer Ahmed, you've always been vocally against the steel flyover. What happens now? Let's talk about possible solutions. What happens now going forward?
Faye, first and foremost, let me just congratulate the people of Bangalore who have really lent a great support, understanding that the city would really be in a very bad condition if at all that steel flyover would have come. Just to name a few people, Prakash Belwadi did a great job, Naresh Narasimhan, Baiju Narayan, Srinivas Alavalli, Nazneen Tonse, and hundreds and thousands of people from Bangalore who had really come to street to protest. But second thing, as you said, what is going to happen? This is bottleneck at only 3 locations. Naresh Narasimhan had given categorically a full-fledged program to the government of Karnataka, saying with the solution, with the diagram, and he had consulted scientists like Ramchandra Guha and other scientists, and what are the best possible solution. And it was hardly costing about 100 crores. Whereas this steel flyover project, which was more than 2,000 crores, this project which Naresh Narasimhan has given to government of Karnataka is costing only 100 crores. Government of Karnataka just need to sit to the voice of citizens who are ecologically, environmentally, who have...
Tanveer Ahmed, the flyover has now been scrapped. What is the new solution? What is the new option now? What should the government be considering?
There are only 3 bottlenecks, as we all know, at Chalukya and at Kaveri Junction, at Hebal. These are the 3 junctions which we need to really work out. This is a solution, and it is a very feasible solution. Very feasible solution. The government, see, I'll tell you one thing, the dairy issue is the main reason for them to really backtrack. I would just like to say, whereas 65 crores which was given to steel flyover...
No, so the backtrack is done. What happens now? So here's the thing. I want to try as far as possible to steer away from the politics of the decision and focus on the actual solutions. Priya Chetty, again, as a citizen who has worked...
Madam?
Sorry. Priya Chetty, go ahead.
Can I intervene, madam?
Yeah, Prakash, I'll come to you. I just want to give...
alternative road from Bagut.
But I think Prakash has absolutely
One second, I'll just clarify one point.
One second. Let me just give everybody on the panel an opportunity to speak before we get, we start rebutting. Priya Chetty has not spoken yet. Sridhar Pabbishetty has not spoken. Priya Chetty, go ahead. Priya Chetty.
Right, thank you. I think this is an important moment of reflection right now for Bangalore, and a huge amount of phenomenal collaboration that has happened with the citizens of Bangalore. I'd like to be optimistic in assuming that the conversations, the interactions, the engagements that have happened very democratically in the last 5.5 really relentless months of engagement are going to bear fruit. So remember, as citizens for Bangalore, we are not prescriptive. We can't have solutions for everything. But there have been, as Tanveer has pointed out, several solutions for the specific areas of concern. And please do recall also that the steel flyover is only a symbol of the number of different ills that sort of befall Bangalore right now, and that was really the straw that broke the camel's back. Don't forget that we also have MG Road and RV Road, which have been completely ruined by an overhead metro. It could have gone underground. So we have to make sure whatever we can do to make sure that Bangalore grows and develops, but holistically, sustainably, and that is what really our agenda is. So do we have solutions? I think it's very incorrect for people like us who come from different walks of life to have instant solutions. But I do believe in the last few months we've applied our minds with experts. We've talked to people, just like as I'm sure the government should be doing, and understanding what a more holistic, more long-term solution is. And one thing which stands out very clearly, I think it's very short-term to assume that if not the steel flyover, then what else? It's almost like there's this one thing that sort of is an ill for Bangalore. The huge issue right now is of mobility, and I think we have just not even begun to scratch the surface of that, and that's something we need to quickly fix. Mass transit is what we've been pushing for a long time. The Chukubuku Express is a small initiative that started and has already created a huge impact, and this is low-hanging fruit. The Trumpet flyover stop that we asked for the railway station to the airport can really impact almost 50,000 people that work there. The third thing is the Bus Bhagya Beku, which is our earnest attempt to try and double the fleet and halve the fares so that more people can be on the buses in Bangalore. So there are a lot of things that can be done, but it has to be looked at holistically. We are looking at a city that is kind of leaking at every possible pore, and we're just putting band-aids everywhere, and we assume that will fix it. It won't. I think it's time to step back and to be able to really listen as to what needs to be done.
Right.
So yeah, that's where we're coming from. And I think this is a very good time for reflection, because this stop or this pause that has happened to Bangalore right now has made, I think, both the government and the citizens realize it's bound in duty to be involved in the development of the city.
Absolutely, and I think it's a very good point to have, and Bangalore is fortunate to be one of the cities to have the most active citizens who get really involved in what's going on in the city. Prakash S, you had a point to make. I interrupted you. Go ahead.
There's an alternative route from Bangalore to Mailahalli. Already the government has spent 126 crore rupees, which takes us directly to the airport. This road needs to be developed as an alternative route to Bangalore City Airport, which will definitely ease the traffic congestion. As Mr. Tanveer Ahmed pointed out, 3-4 flyovers in the Ballari road would definitely ease the traffic congestion. Instead of spending 2,200 crores as conceived in the steel bridge project, this project within 300 to 100 crores, the entire route can be decongested. Government is not thinking in those lines. Exactly. They were only focusing on steel bridge project, which is 200 crores per kilometer we should have spent on it. Instead of that, a road already exists, and spend another 100 crores, you get two roads which would decongest the Bangalore City Airport road. And also, you should stop giving reckless permission to high-rise building after the Hebbal flyover, which is adding to the traffic congestion. Urban planning is totally missing in Bangalore. They should study the traffic congestion in this road and permit the high-rise buildings, but no such thing is happening. They're blindly permitting 10 floors, 20 floors, 100, 200 flats coming up in after the airport flyover.
Okay, hang on. Prakash, let's take this one at a time. You said use Bangalore. You said use the alternate routes, but okay, let's take this one at a time. And we have Nasir Hussain now representing the state government, who has joined us on the phone line. Sridhar, I see you've raised your hand. I will come to you. I want Nasir Hussain to respond to each of these options. Nasir Hussain, one of the two things that Priya Chetty pointed out is that citizens are very active, and they will continue to take an active interest in solutions brought forth by the government, which I think is a fantastic offer for any government. The other thing, of course, is the fact that Prakash S is saying that there are other options, there are cheaper options that the government can consider at this point. Are there cheaper options that the government is considering to the steel flyover? What is the other option that you have in mind at this point?
See, I would definitely not like to ponder or divulge on the show as to what the government is thinking of right now. The point is this issue had become a very contentious issue. It had become a very controversial issue. There were so many things coming up, and people were shooting in the air and just telling that the government is making money is being sent to Uttar Pradesh, money is being sent to that election, this election. Mr. Siddaramaiah, the Chief Minister, is involved, Mr. George is involved. So many allegations without any basis for it. I think at one point, the minister in charge for Bangalore City himself went on to say that let this steel flyover be converted into a highway.
So let me just take this from you, Nasir Hussain. Will the government now actively work with citizen groups who have suggestions?
Please allow me to speak.
Okay, all right, go ahead.
Please allow me. So then at one point he also said, let the union government take over this flyover, take over this bridge, whatever you call it, and then let the union government go ahead and call a tender and let them see that the bridge is converted. So to this extent, I think the minister has stated. But in spite of all these things, there were so many allegations, so many things were happening. I think this state government has done a fantastic job by calling it off. And now let there be fresh discussion, let there be more discussion, let more citizen groups be involved. I myself have started certain, along with our party people, we have started some sort of discussions with the citizen groups so that we can engage more people to see that we have a better Bengaluru in the days to come. So let us see what comes up in the days to come, and then how we can plan up not only this flyover, maybe many more flyovers, and for a better street, what more plans can be discussed. Let us come up with it.
All right, Sridhar Pabbishetty, this again, it's a good thing, of course, that we have a government that's willing to listen to its citizens. This is a move in the right direction. There will be politics like there always is. But what are the solutions that the citizens have put forward? I understand, a commuter rail, more BMTC buses, a network of footpaths to make Bangalore a walking city again. These are all solutions that the citizens had put forward.
Faye, I would like to remind something for the government representative. Last February, we actually urged the Bangalore in charge minister as well as the Union Highway Minister, Mr. Nitin Gadkari and Mr. George, wherein we presented elements of comprehensive mobility improvement plan for the city of Bengaluru. Unfortunately, none of them have been heard, and Nasir Hussain waking up today and assuring us, telling that believe us that we are listening, nothing can be far away from truth. Two important things for us to note here. The Congress achievement of the Right to Information Act has been actually murdered by the BDA. The RTIs that we have filed asking for disclosures about the documents that are pertaining to the bidding of this process, what are the alternatives considered, where are the feasibility studies, continue to remain unanswered even after 7 months of filing the RTI. We have gone on second appeal and still there is no response to that. Secondly, the 74th Amendment clearly states that this has to be in the 4 squares of BBMP's jurisdiction. The Congress has already permitted a big blunder by making this a project under BDA. This project comes under BBMP limit. According to the 74th Amendment, the urban local body should have led this project. They have already murdered that, and today they are saying it as a matter of achievement that they have offered it to the national government to build. Why do you need urban local bodies? Do you even believe in decentralization? Unfortunate, really unfortunate, where city's future is being decided by a chief minister and a prime minister. Mr. Nasir Hussain, please give me the courtesy. Please give the courtesy of listening to me. Please give the courtesy of listening to me. We have given you a blueprint 13 months ago. We have given a blueprint 13 months ago of saying what are the real solutions that you can work on. There are 3 alternative roads that the government can work on to the airport so that can decongest the Hepal flyover. None of them considered. One at last was lamely opened up during the aero show, and I think that is also being shut down for under some or the other pretext.
Okay, all right. So then let him respond now. One second. One second. Sridhar, let's take the points one by one. Otherwise, we won't be able to respond to all of them. It's difficult to respond to 3 or 4 points at one point. Nasir Hussain, you wanted to come in on the fact that Sridhar Pabbishetty pointed out that you don't need the central government or any other government to come in to manage the city. The local body should be enough. Nasir Hussain, go ahead.
I brought in that point because the BJP, which had actually conceived this idea, went on accusing the present government by telling that money is being made and money is being sent to Uttar Pradesh and so on and so forth. So for that particular reason, not because the government of Karnataka cannot execute a project, not because the government of Karnataka cannot build roads, highways, elevated roads, etc., etc. It is only to prove a point that no money is being made. If the union government is so much interested, if the Bharatiya Janata Party is so much interested in making money, let them go ahead and construct the bridge. What we are interested in is bridge, in a flyover which can ease the traffic from that particular part of the city to another part of the city. It is not because
really grow. Sir, it is people's win. People have won. People have really made a voice against your government, saying that you have really totally failed to understand the requirements of Bangalore. This people's win. Why don't you give them a credit saying that yes, we have done a blunder by proposing the option of steel flyover. Now the people's mind has really won over the government. We are not going to construct. That's it. Why are you bringing corruption? Nobody is accusing that you have sent money to Uttar Pradesh.
In fact, I keep saying this, that I don't want this platform to be a platform where people trade allegations. One second. No, Nasir Hussain, we're looking at possible solutions. One second, I have Piyush on the phone line from Bangalore, and these are all regular citizens who are calling right now. Piyush, go ahead, you're on the show.
Yes, coming to the point, there are a few suggestions that I wanted to suggest to the government. I'm not sure what is the government doing with respect to metro.
Okay.
You see the success of metro in Delhi. It has a very good connectivity and people prefer to commute over metro. But in Bangalore, that is not the case. The connectivity is very, very poor. Second, infrastructure, the roads, there are a lot of potholes. There's no proper, planning of road construction in the city. Even with respect to citizens, institutions should also contribute to the success of the, managing the traffic. You just see near the Belendur, a lot of IT people coming, one single person coming out of a big car. What are the citizens doing? It's a collective effort that government as well as citizens that need to take to solve this traffic condition. Otherwise, nobody can solve this problem.
Right. So that's a good point. Why aren't we using the metro? Sudhir Badami is a traffic expert. He's also very familiar with the city of Bangalore. Sudhir Badami, good point about the metro is that even after you get out of the station, you'll need that last point of connectivity which takes you home, and in Bangalore that's still a challenge. Is the metro a solution? Are more buses the solution? What is the solution, Sudhir?
The first solution is that you must have walkable footpaths. Then only can you get off from public transport and walk up. Or alternately, you must have the vehicles which can take you to your last mile connectivity. But the important thing is that I think there are a lot of nonsensical talk going about this party and that party. You look at, first of all, the country, everywhere the same situation, where the state government wants to overpower the local governments, that is the municipal corporation. We must honor 74th Amendment fully, and local bodies must start having people who can start planning things correctly. They do so in many cases. That's the first part. Next important thing, as far as transportation itself is concerned, leave aside what has happened now, the withdrawal of the government have decided not to go ahead with the steel flyover. We had to have a comprehensive study which may have been done. I have not studied Bangalore from that perspective fully, but I have experienced that travel by public transport, although there's a car available when I go to my brother's place, he is somewhere between Dodballapur and Rajanakunte, and it's a far out place. Where is the priority? Out there, there's a quadrupling of lanes, and I think there's work is not going on for more than 2 years. And I know today, unfortunately, today is the day when My niece got killed on that road because of the bad, incomplete road construction and various speeding buses. The traffic there in last 3 years that I have gone there has increased manifold, and I'm sure that is the case everywhere. Speedily, one has to study. There has to have a public consultation, and we do not have to consider only metro as a solution. As you know, there are other cheaper solutions and quickly implementable solutions. We had those solutions. The word seems to be what you call badly taken, but the word is BRTS.
All right, the BRTS. All right, so I just want to, Sudhir, I just want to respond, I also want to take this over to Nasir Hussain. Footpaths, I must point out that in large portions of Bangalore, the footpaths the tender show footpaths have been placed. It's a good project that has begun. It's moved in a certain direction. It's not all over the city yet, but where it has been put in, they have done a fairly good job. But your point has, and I'll get Priya Chetty. And Priya, the footpaths right now, the way they've been worked on in Bangalore is actually a good project going in the right direction.
Yes, I agree with you. I think, I have to confess that I was a little apprehensive when it first started off because it just, from a slightly from a Bangalore perspective, I just didn't understand how these wide footpaths would help. But now in retrospect and as a user, my office is on Cunningham Road. It's a joy to be able to walk on the roads. It's a joy to be able to cross. Everything just works so well. And suddenly you're walking a lot more. And I think really that is the future of the city, where the first priority is for pedestrians and for walkers. And then you have a city that really works and public spaces really work. So, to come back to Mr. Badami's point, where he talked about how one looks at the city, I think we're just coming back to the issue that unless we step away, and maybe this is a great time to do it, to step away and look at the city completely afresh, we are not going to get anywhere. So the tender show roads are a great step in the right direction. Walkability becomes important. Mass transit becomes important. When you're looking at infrastructure issues, whether it's pothole roads or the terrible issue with Bellandur Lake, where again there's a lack of foresight, a lack of follow-through, we need to have people who are accountable. And I think the citizens are in a position to be able to do so now. So get the mass transit fixed. And it's not just the metro, it's commuter rail, it's the bus, and have that really zinging, and it can be done in a very short period of time. So this is like the next 6 months or a year. We can really make Bangalore very, very different. So get the right people in, get private participation, get people to talk, privatize wherever required. I think we can do really well. Yesterday there was an Ola Uber strike, and BMTC says there was a 30% hike in usage, and I think that's great.
All right.
I think a lot of us must
so Nasir said you will appreciate the fact that people on this panel are acknowledging the good work being done by the government, and I'll personally acknowledge the fact that the metro lines that are functioning are very good, that they have taken traffic off the road. The footpaths that have been built, the tender shop footpaths that are being built in Bangalore are also very good, but there's still a lot to be done. Is BRTS a possible solution? Like Sudhir Badami pointed out, bus rapid transport system, is that a solution that Bangalore is looking at, and if not, why not?
One of the solutions.
Hello?
Yes, go ahead.
See, there's so many things happening in Bangalore. Someone was speaking about tender show roads, footpaths that have been done really well. I myself have seen it has really been done very well. I think the government plans to spread it to the entire city. I think, and of late, I also seen many skywalks being inaugurated across the city. And Mr. George, the in-charge minister, also announced that 100 more skywalks will be constructed very soon. Metro line is going on, which is a very good alternative, and it has taken the traffic out of the roads. But I think it needs to be expedited. But the only reason which the MD of Metro, Mr. Karola, has been telling is that it is not as easy as it is in Delhi because of the granite that is there underneath in Bangalore city, which has to be cut, and then lines to lines.
One second. So all right. So I'm just going to have to interrupt this conversation. I know a lot of the panelists have things to add to this. Sudhir Badami, just give me 1 second. In news that is just coming in, and I'm glad that all of you are with us right now. A fire has been sighted near the Bellandur Lake as we speak. Remember, the Bellandur Lake is a lake that has been frothing for a couple of years now. For at least 2 years, we've seen froth come out of this lake because of the pollution in the lake. Then we saw about a week or so ago, we saw on the 17th of February, we saw the lake catch fire because of the contents of that lake. we are now being told by residents around that lake that a fire has been sighted near the Belandur lake. Shrija, who is our reporter right now, is joining us with details. Shrija, is the lake on fire? What's happening right now in Belandur?
Right, Faye. Belandur Lake is in the news again, despite BBMP assuring the residents that the alleged garbage disposal trucks are illegally dumping truckloads of garbage. In fact, what we know at this point...
The person you are speaking with has put your call on hold.
The fire did not break out in the lake or near the lake bed, but in fact a fire broke out on a private land which belongs to some of the private builders over there. What we understand is that these particular landlords have some of the immigrants who have settled over there. They in fact segregate the waste on a daily basis and they put that particular waste on fire. But right now everything is under control, and I would like to clarify also that as per what the citizens are telling us, that the Belandur Lake is right now not on fire, but it is just a private land.
Right, just the private land that is on fire. But you know, this is something we have to acknowledge, and we are going to talk about it. And I'm glad we have the panel that we have, because it's a good good opportunity to talk about it. Priya Chetty, I know that you were working with citizens as well on the fact that this lake has been a huge problem. And while we just want to clarify at this point that the lake itself is not on fire, the adjoining pieces of land on which garbage tends to be dumped is on fire. That problem is still as bad, Priya.
Yes. The Belandur Lake has been really such a black spot on Bangalore. And I think, again, such a symbol of so many different things that have gone wrong in the way we've taken over our lakes and, cannibalized it really, which is... spoiling the groundwater, so many different things. But I would like to respectfully say that, as far as the Belandur Lake is concerned, it's been going on for a while. I don't have that much of information or inputs on that. But I can tell you one thing, that there have been a lot of activism. I know Sridhar Pabbishetty has got, there's a note up
so let's
on the
bring in
website.
Sridhar, disappointing news coming in, of course, that the Belandur Lake, is still having problems, that garbage is still being dumped around that lake, and that garbage is now on fire.
Yeah. So, Faye, Nama Bengaluru Foundation is on the expert committee, and prior to that, last April, we had submitted a Say Belandur action plan, and even in the expert committee proposal that has been accepted by the government last November, there are very, very practical solutions for solving the problem, but none of them have been acted by the government. Unfortunately, preventing dumping of garbage in the lake has not been done. And this is the most unfortunate thing. Until unless you stop this, the air quality there is completely deteriorated. The garbage management in the city has gone to dogs, and the suffering are the areas around the lakes. So now that is the first thing that has to be stopped. Point number 2, the fire 10 days ago, 2 weeks ago, was inside the lake where the water hyacinth and probably some more debris has caught fire. There has been no investigation done by the Karnataka State Pollution Control Board to ascertain the extent of the fire and what is wrong with it. There are very, very simple mechanisms that we have suggested that doesn't even cost money, wherein the government can immediately ameliorate the suffering of the Belandur Lake. The document, unfortunately, is lying somewhere on somebody else's table. The BDA is not interested to take and run with the document. They are just fiddling with 1 or 2 tenders, but there are hundreds of actionable items that can just get started as we speak. The simple things of going after the apartment complexes which have sewage treatment plants installed but not using them. The second thing is the blacklisting of the contractors who are dumping garbage in open lands. These are simple things that can be done. The construction and debris management has been overseen by the Karnataka High Court, but still the violation happens on the court directions. So,
let me just ask Nasir Hussain this question. Nasir Hussain, from the government, we're understanding that there's a fire again now around the lake, and this is because garbage continues to be dumped at that lake, Nasir Hussain. After all of the campaigning that happened, after all of the noise that was made, the notice that was sent to the government, to the Karnataka Pollution Board, why is this still happening? Why hasn't the government managed to keep a handle on garbage disposal and how it's being managed in Bangalore?
Oh, there's a lack of will. There's just a lack of will, lack of interest.
Nasir Hussain, can you hear me?
Hello.
Yes. Nasir Hussain, if
The person you are speaking with.
Right, Nasir Hussain has put us on hold. Prakash S, the problem of Bellandur Lake coming up one more time.
This problem is there since many years. The industrial waste is released to this Bellandur Lake, and there are no STP plants put up to release the treated water there. So this is a very huge problem government is faced with. Many solutions were suggested, but most of them remain on paper. Whenever there's a froth coming out on the streets or something like fire catching up in the lake, then only it draws attention of everyone, government, officials, media. Then the government starts speaking about Bellandur Lake, correcting the anomalies there, but after some time everything remains normal. Many infrastructure projects are on paper, are superficial, it's not helping in any way to the infrastructure of the city. We need more parking complexes in Bangalore city. 30% of the road are presently occupied by the two-wheelers and cars for parking purpose, which actually should have been used for the vehicle movement. These are certain serious issues in Bangalore we are facing, which have not been addressed from many decades. City is growing beyond leaps and bounds. There are no checks on it, and people are suffering because of lack of infrastructure and basic amenities.
All right, so here's just to recap to our viewers who might have just joined us. A fire has been sighted on the banks of the Bellandur Lake one more time. We understand from our reporter that this fire is around or in the hutments of those people who have settled there on private land, who tend to sort garbage for a living, and it might be that garbage that is on fire right now. I understand, Sudhir Badami had a point to make. I'm sorry I interrupted you, Sudhir. Go ahead.
One of the panelists mentioned about the pedestrian skywalks are being constructed.
Yes. Exactly.
I was in Bangalore last week, and I was aghast to see the one across at the municipal headquarters.
Right.
And it is something ugly thing. I think Bangalore should not be destroyed with structures like that.
While I understand that, of course, the skybox is something we need to focus on, I'm more concerned about the lake that is still on fire.
The nicety of Bangalore. That's the important aspect.
Okay,
the second aspect I want to say is, while you talk about metro, we need to have a network for any public transport system.
Okay, all right. No, I'm focusing. Unfortunately, Sudhir, I have to focus on the lake that is on fire because it seems like a more pressing and something that I'm more concerned about.
Can I just add that we don't even know who's in charge, whether it's the BDA or the BBMP. They're passing the the responsibility of the lake on to one another.
From what we understand, just to clarify what we understand, the BDA says that the BBMP says that the lake is part of Bangalore Development Authority. Bangalore Development Authority says we're looking after the lake, but the garbage is coming from the BBMP. So that is something we cannot control. Tanveer Ahmed, is there still a problem of conversation between two government offices? Is that the problem, or is the problem the lack of political will to fix it?
Both.
I would like to say that it is a lack of political will. Why? Because today, as we all know, Sridhar Pabbishetty is an activist. Probably he doesn't really understand the political compulsions. Today, as we all know, that this government is run by land mafia, sand mafia, garbage mafia. So these are the three mafias which are working until and unless government start blacklisting the people who have not really done anything from past several years. We are not going to solve this problem. This garbage mafia is a very big menace in Bangalore. Yes, it is lack of political will for which people are suffering. And Faye, it is not a very, very simple solution as people are saying that don't dump here and put barricading, no, it is the political will. If at all tomorrow our Chief Minister and the Urban Development Minister starts taking and puts a political will, this can be solved within a time of 3 months. And I'm sure the government wants to do it, but they totally lack a political will.
All right, so that, of course, does seem like the lack of political will. Remember, we brought up this problem several times here on this show. to no avail, because it seems like the government has not managed to get this problem under control. Nasir Hussain, are you still with us? Nasir Hussain might have left this conversation. We're going to try and get a government representative back on the line, but I also Sonali Singh, who's a resident around the banks of Bellandur Lake, is on the phone line right now. Sonali, what do you see out of your window? Is there a lot of smoke? Are you still concerned about the lake?
Yes, so as this evening, we had seen the fire and the smoke. The fire brigade was called in. They did a good job and the entire fire was doused out. So at the moment, there's nothing happening there. The fire has been doused. And when we looked into the reasons why this has happened, it looks like there is, I don't know if it's a private land or what, because it's close to the lake, and usually you're not supposed to have any private land around the lake. But anyways, somebody had lit a fire, and because of the dry weather, all the leaves caught fire, and it became a rather huge fire.
Sonali, you said the last time you were on this show that you've noticed dump trucks bring in garbage and debris and dump it around the lake. Is that still happening? Are BBMP trucks still bringing in garbage onto the lake?
So after the last report that we had and the conversations we've had with BBMP, though our residents are on the lookout, we haven't seen that happening yet. But definitely the burning of garbage is still happening, because different areas, and it's one of Bangalore's largest lakes, as you know, right? So one day it is, in one corner, the second day the fire is another corner. So it's very difficult to monitor it. But we see the fires happening. But the trucks at least have stopped. We haven't seen any large dumping of late.
All right. On your screen right now are visuals of, the fire that was noticed this evening. These are the latest visuals around Bellandur Lake, a fire that we understand now on private land around the lake, where garbage and perhaps because of dry weather, some of the vegetation caught fire as well. And this is a problem that has been brought up several times, that there is no scientific method being used right now in Bangalore to dispose of garbage, that dump trucks that often belong to the government willy-nilly dump the garbage wherever they please. And as a result, then it causes rag pickers to come in to sort that garbage on their own, of their own accord, and set whatever they don't want on fire. As a result, we'll see that kind of smoke, rising out of the Bellandur Lake, because there has been a second fire that has been that has been lit around that lake. That's visuals that you're looking at right now on your screen. Sridhar, the last time we spoke, we very clearly had, and you yourself are part of that committee of people who looked into possible solutions for the government to implement, which we understand the government has not implemented.
I think there should be penalties.
Absolutely. I think one of the things that has to be done is continuous monitoring of the lake. And seriously, there are over 17 inlets into the lake, and each of this lake has so many apartments that are letting sewage into it. That has to be acted upon. Good apartments and bad apartments are backed together and bashed by the government. Why do you have to do that? Just identify which are the ones which are not following it, and only go set them right. Secondly, the garbage dumping, the mafia that's been operating there is deeply entrenched, and the construction debris has to be stopped at the earliest.
All right, one second. I have Dr. T.V. Ramchandra Professor T.V. Ramchandra on the phone line. Professor, thank you for joining us. We're receiving reports right now that there's been a fire on the banks of the Bellandur Lake, because garbage is burning and perhaps some of the dry vegetation is burning as well. Have you, since our last conversation, has the state government at all been forthcoming? Have you seen any of the suggestions being made by the expert committee on that lake been implemented, Professor?
No. Nothing has happened. In fact, whatever the suggestions given, if they had implemented, we could have averted many of these issues. See, still the dumping of solid waste is happening, and the drying of macrophytes is still there. And of course, below the macrophyte bed, the methane generation is there. All these are leading to the fire. Someone has to ignite it. I think people are doing it again and again.
People are doing it again and again. And Professor, unfortunately, if the government is not paying attention to the suggestions being made, by the expert committee, is it likely that this sort of fire, given the dry weather we're going to see in the next few months, is going to be, a more often affair, that we will see a lot of this happen over the next few months?
Yeah, actually, it is a slightly worrying also. See, the way the people would be exposed to these volatile organic compounds, VOCs, and related health issues, these toxics, the substances in the air. The people who are residing in the immediate vicinity, they will be exposed to this for no fault of theirs.
Right, so it is worrying. Yeah, it is worrying. Professor Ramchandra there of ISC, who was on the expert committee to the government of Karnataka on how to solve the problems in Beralur, he tells us that nothing has been done by the government. Absolutely nothing has been done after repeated shows that we've done on the show, after the expert committee has given its suggestions 8 months ago. There's nothing being done by the government, and these sort of fires will become more and more often, will take place more and more often as the summer progresses through the city of Bangalore. Unfortunately, I have to wrap up this discussion here, but we're going to keep an eye on what's going on in Bellandur, and we're going to keep an eye on what's going on in Bangalore. I want to thank our panel for joining us. I know we started to talk about the steel flyover, but this is a far more worrying and disturbing trend that we're seeing in Bangalore.
You can watch live TV on our website mpnow.in. Find us on Facebook at facebook.com/Magicbricks Now. And don't forget to click the like button. You can also follow us on Twitter at Magicbricks Now. To stay updated with all our programming, hit the subscribe button on our YouTube channel by logging on to youtube.com/Magicbricks Now.